South Korea, also known as the Republic of Korea or the Good Korea, has some extraordinary football stadiums as well as some average ones. So let's see what the K-League 1, the country's top tier, has to offer. DGB Daegu Bank Park, Daegu FC. We start off with the newest stadium in the league, oddly enough. It was built on the site of their old stadium and was originally only meant to be a major renovation rather than a complete rebuild. But I guess they got carried away. The design is pretty interesting. I like that there is plenty of room between the stands and the roof. Not only does that allow for a breeze, but it's just nice to look out at the city and gaze at the cranes in their natural habitat. Majestic. Absolutely majestic. This is quite a striking colour scheme as well. We've got off to a great start. Daejeon World Cup Stadium, Daejeon Hana Citizen. As the name suggests, this, along with several other stadiums you'll see in this video, were built for the FIFA World Cup, which Korea co-hosted with Japan in 2002. Korea finished in 4th place in completely uncontroversial circumstances. There were no doubts over the integrity of the referees whatsoever. The design of the stadium is relatively simple. There's a symmetrical double-tiered seating layout, some roofs that retract slightly to let in more sunlight. One thing I find odd is that the stadium gets the nickname of the Purple Palace. Either I'm colorblind, or the seats have faded, or my kindergarten teachers were really bad, because they look blue to me. Chuncheon Songam Sports Town, Gangwon FC. As you can see, this is a multi-purpose stadium, meaning that it's not optimized for football. There's a track. However, they do set up some temporary stands along the sidelines, as you may have seen from the aerial shots, but still it's not ideal. Nor is the fact that most of the seating bowl is uncovered. But if I had to point out a positive, well, there's certainly plenty of colour about the place. Purple, orange, green and blue. All the colours of the Fruit Loops, basically. Gangneung Stadium. Gangwon FC play at 2 different stadiums, which I suppose makes sense given that they are representing an entire province rather than a city. It's overall a very similar stadium to their other home. However, the main stand is separated from the rest of the seating bowl in more ways than one. It's not only physically separated, but unlike the other sides of the ground, the main stand has a very interesting facade, which, although dated, I do kinda like. Gwangju Football Stadium, Gwangju FC. Well, they don't actually play at this big stadium anymore. They've been playing next door at the auxiliary stadium since the start of the pandemic. This stadium might be smaller and less spectacular, sure, but at least it's rectangular. Also, it was upgraded a few years back to meet K-League 1 capacity requirements, so it's no training ground. Still, it remains fairly simple, and there's very little shaded seating, but hey, at least you get to look at those impressive roofs of the World Cup Stadium while sitting in the rain. Incheon Football Stadium, Incheon United. Supposedly, this stadium was designed to resemble a ship pulling into port. That seems like a bit of a stretch, but if you squint and then take a powerful hallucinogen, you can kinda see it, as well as the many leprechauns flying around it. The unique roof canopy was also designed to maximize crowd noise. Now that I can see. The best part about the stadium could be the way it was integrated perfectly into its surrounds. One side of the ground, which is connected to a railway station, even opens up to the public on non-game days. What a great stadium. Jeju World Cup Stadium, Jeju United. In case you weren't aware, Jeju is actually an island province off the south coast of the Korean peninsula. It's basically the Tasmania of Korea. You know what? The Hawaii of Korea is probably more accurate. Neither Tasmania or Hawaii have a stadium quite as spectacular as this though. It's all about that roof really. Even though it doesn't cover even half of the seats, it just makes for an interesting look inside and out. It was actually damaged by a typhoon early on, but it's held strong since. Jeonju World Cup Stadium, Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. Oddly enough, this stadium is known for its entrance, where spectators cross a bridge over a river, in a similar way that you would enter a castle via a drawbridge. So it comes as no surprise that the stadium gets the nickname Jeonju Castle. There are all sorts of interesting design features inspired by different traditional Korean items, as is the case with most World Cup stadiums in this league. I'm not going to mention them all, because all that matters is that it's a good stadium, and it is. Pohang Steel Yard is home to a team called Pohang Steelers, who are owned by a local corporation. Do you reckon you could have a guess at which industry the owner of the Pohang Steelers is in? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome back. They're in the steel industry. Interestingly, this was the first stadium in South Korea to be purpose-built for football. Multi-purpose stadiums were the way before the steel yard came along. And although it mightn't have the extravagant design features of the World Cup stadiums we've seen, it's a solid all-round stadium, with an appearance befitting of its name, because there's a lot of steel on show. Seoul World Cup Stadium, FC Seoul. The largest city in the country has the largest stadium in the country, and up until recently it was the biggest football-specific stadium in Asia. China has since built some larger ones for a tournament that they pulled out of hosting. The stadium was actually constructed by the company that may have made the phone that you're watching this video on, Samsung, albeit a separate wing of the conglomerate. Speaking of the construction, the roof was inspired by a traditional Korean kite. Before smartphones and TikTok, this is how kids used to piss off the elderly. My one gripe with the stadium is that, like a Scottish summer, everything is grey. Suwon World Cup Stadium, Suwon Samsung Blue Wings. You'll immediately notice the rather unusual yet spectacular roof, particularly the extra wide one covering the western stand. It's supposed to resemble the wings of a bird. Not really all that surprising when the team's called Blue Wings. Below that, sections of the exterior are supposed to resemble the nearby Hwaseong Fortress. I guess with the name Samsung Blue Wings, it's also not that surprising that it was built by Samsung as well. Well, actually, they started building it, then stopped during an economic crisis, and it was finished by another corporation. Suwon Sports Complex, Suwon FC. This is another simple, mostly uncovered, multi-purpose bowl stadium that are actually quite common in Korea. As you can see, it's part of a sports complex that includes an arena as well. It might not be the most exciting design, but at least they haven't opted for a monochromatic color scheme. And I like that they've added this small stand for spectators that want to get close to the action. However, in the Battle of Suwon, the Samsung Blue Wings claim a decisive victory. All hail the big bird. Ulsan Munsu Football Stadium, Ulsan Hyundai. Ooh, a second Hyundai team. I wonder if one of them used to be owned by Kia and then changed their name when Hyundai bought out Kia. I'm gonna have to look that up now, hold tight. Nope, they've both been Hyundai from the beginning. As for the stadium, its symmetrical, double-tiered seating bowl is simple but fairly steep, and that's all you need really. However, something that you don't need is an intricate-looking pattern on the seating, and that's something that's been recently added. I think it looks fantastic. So there you have it, time to pick a favourite. Well, they've got the biggest airport, and I reckon Incheon has also got the best football stadium. It's unique and spectacular. A great combination. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, and as always, thanks for watching, have a good one.